Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the WGLEU Match Week 4, day number 2. It is a Thursday for those who weren't quite sure, and it is our last match day of the week. We are one game down. Strong Siema yet again, failing to really do much, to be honest with you. I mean, they started off with some decent rounds here and there. It was tit for tat, but then they really fell away as well. Mines definitely hurt them.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of games that got really close, and I like the aggression there from Strong Siema. And, you know, they've obviously been losing a lot of matches. They haven't got a single win here. I think this is the 5th match now they've lost. But they look better this time, so at least they're improving. I hope they continue improving, and I think they will be able to pick up a couple of rounds, maybe a couple of games even. So I have to say that the 3 rounds which were lost were, Panda Sports being a little bit stupid, especially on that one round there on Cliff, just a bit static and not really making any movements here. But solid match, I have to say.
Like we've said time and time again, the hallmark of the best teams in World of Tanks are the guys that can actually adapt to the weird stuff that might come up. And this is a kind of game with many, many possibilities, many strategies you could go with. And when you see something you don't expect, you have to click into gear pretty quickly. It's a game that's can be very, very fast-paced. People might think that's strange because they're tanks, but the way it plays, of course, out in the esports way is that you need to make these calls very, very quickly, and they need to be correct. So Penta just struggling with the curveball coming their way, but they managed to get the solid rounds when they needed to. I think when they were playing good, it was very convincing. To win by 7k hit points is quite a big margin. Of course, they brought the perfect lineup. They brought the perfect approach as well. They went for the right part of the map. Really can't ask for too much more than that after a couple of shaky ones. So now, I mean, moving forward, Kazna crew, currently the top team in the league. I mean, it's very early on in the piece, but they've had some very convincing results. Their opponents, though, out of range. Obviously, Carmen's team coming up from the Silver Series. Well, honestly, had a bit of a disappointing result against Oops last week. You know, obviously another one of their sort of newcomer, the rookie challenge, I guess it was. Oops just absolutely stomped them. Obviously, out of range, they got that one round there. So with a decently strong start, which we saw from Carmen and his crew coming in out of range, obviously they beat Synergy in the first match of the season. Maybe now the reality of being in the Gold Series is hitting them. And again, for Carmen, of course, the reality that he has to mentor his team to such a point where they can fight it out with the best. And they have definitely met plenty of challenges along the way so far already. Yeah,
I mean, out of range just need to settle themselves after a good start, but then a shaky continuation of the season. But it's going to be hard against Kazna crew. You know, it's one of the best teams in Europe, definitely the best team this season. We've actually had to do, we haven't seen much of Wombats on Tanks, for instance, but they have been the best team this season so far. Getting towards the halfway point, I guess we can say. Only match day 4, but match day 5 and 6 is, of course, the halfway through 5 is the halfway point, so next week.
We're already a quarter of the way through the season after today.
Precisely. This is what we really need to see from out of range. We need to see some good results. Maybe just, I think winning against Kazna would be hard, but maybe picking up like a tiebreaker against them would also be a good result. You got to remember, out of range were the Silver Series champions. They're the best team there. So, I mean, they lost against Oops, who weren't the Silver Series champions. They were further down. And, you know, having played so many different, methods to try and get in the WGLEU, you'd expect them to win that round. But
Silver Series, relegation,
open
wild
qualifier.
Card? They're playing the wild card as well?
Qualifier. No, the wild card, no.
Okay, the open qualifier as well, which is where they got through in the end. So the last chance for them to actually qualify for the Gold Series, they've made it through, so you can imagine the relief. So, I mean, it's a good way of putting it, actually. We've seen Oops have to really put their nose to the grindstone multiple times to try and sort of find their way in towards this run. And, I mean, I think fans or people who are following that team and, were following their results should be pretty happy so far. But on towards the topic, of course, of out of range now as well, who are Kazna's opponents in this game. We saw them struggle a little bit, I think, when it came to the technical sense in some of these matches as well. Carmen even said on the first match day when they played up against Synergy, he said, we struggled on Prokhorovka against them. It was jitters, really. It was jitters. It was their debut in the Gold Series, and of course that's quite a big deal for a lot of these players here. But now they've settled, or hopefully at least, or they're starting to settle, but they're up against Kazna as well, who are going to punish them for every single mistake they make, who've been very, very good this season with, I'd say, a negligible amount of average games. We're starting a Prokhorovka as well as our first match here as well. So the kind of map, Oliver, where maybe the objectives aren't so important, these two teams might just want to brawl. I find it pretty hard to write Kazna off already at this stage. Yeah,
and you got to remember as well that OR just struggled against Oops on this map. So, I mean, this could be one of those teams which, if they start well, they continue well. If they start bad, they continue bad. But I think it would be great if Oops get one round here. And to be honest, Kazna have played a couple of shaky rounds on this map. So it could be an interesting start for both Kazna Crew and Oops. I'm hoping for some fast brawls. Kazna Crew, they are well known for those brawls, getting into those fights. They're a tactical team, but they like to go for those engagements pretty quick. And I hope they didn't underestimate OR. I think if they underestimate OR, they will get punished. They will start to trail a few rounds, and they might even just lose the match straight up.
I mean, you can see the Kazna Crew line up there on your screen right now. I mean, it's a very strong team on paper, if you think about it. I mean, with Alien in the mix, LD Nexus, Isne, Eurofish, Stefan, Vetso at the helm, Hyber as well, not being listed there as well. They have obviously...
Hyber's actually the team captain there.
Yeah,
so.
That's right. He's the tactician,
yeah.
and often the strat caller in game. So they have a roster that's interchangeable as well, and sometimes you see them benching Alien or one of these big players to bring someone else in to fit their strategy. So this is a team that's been through many sort of iterations and has come out now looking very, very good. On the side, of course, of Out of Range, we were seeing obviously Carmen leading that one with guys like Milosh and Risiek in there, Dezek in there, a few players that we've seen some good stuff from, to be honest, and they're really only starting to prove themselves. But again, we've talked about Carmen as well. We love Carmen. He's known quite well to us. There's a bit of volatility, of course, in him as a player because his passion is very, very strong. It's very, very clear to see. I remember my first debut. I was hosting the WGL Season 2 finals. Carmen was playing for Mouse Sports on that occasion. And
Gamescom.
They struggled. And I remember Carmen getting very, very frustrated. Like you could see, it's on his face. He can't hide it, right? He wears his heart on his sleeve. And now when things go tough here as well, online, it can be quite frustrating because you can't see someone and actually try and convey what the issue is, and you can build up this frustration. And even though they're all speaking Polish, they're all, I think, almost all of them, they're speaking in Polish as a team that are, of course, from that country. It's still hard to try and sometimes get your point across, or when things go bad, how much harder is it to try and raise the morale of your team when you're only on voice chat and not actually in front of one another to shake some sense into each other?
I think it's pretty hard, but I think most teams have the opposite problem. I think online they play well because they can keep that sense of cool and they're not getting so involved in the situation. I think it's offline where you see like all-star teams like Team Supreme start to crumble and not to play too well, which I think is one thing that just comes with experience. So maybe with a team like Kazakura and Pent, who clearly have a lot of offline experience, it's really the hardest part of the season to get through the online stage. Get through that, and then when they actually get to the finals, they do a lot of work. And they have the experience when they do arrive at the venue and really do start to play well under the lights, the heat, the kind of the action of a finals, maybe all the other kind of things that come into play. You're not playing where you're normally used to playing. So this could be an interesting match, though. For me, I think OR needs to come off, come out the gates fast, punch in, need to go straight into the game, put pressure on Kazna Crew, don't let them play their normal game. Go for those tactics, don't go for the trades all the time, because Prokhorovka so far this season, it's looked like a trading kind of map where if you start to get ahead, because you're getting the shots, you're getting the angles better, you have the more skilled players in those situations, then you really start to lose, and you find yourself, especially as the attacker, not being able to egress across the map, not being able to get the pressure and the cap, because you just won't be able to hold it. Taking
too much damage, and it's too risky from that point.
Yeah.
So knowing when to come forward, also very important in maps like this one. Melly, we have a lot of, veterans, I guess, across these two teams. Not so much on Out of Range, but of course, all these guys are known to us. We've seen these personalities as well, especially from Kazna, either online and offline quite often here as well. So, I'd love to know what your take is on this one, of course, with Kazna being as strong as they are right now.
Yeah, it's pretty clear on paper, and the community backs this thesis up very much with this 97% voting.
Okay.
So it's gonna hurt, and it's gonna hurt real bad, because the predictions for the exact votes are around 5-1, 5-2 maximum. So people, if you haven't voted yet, head over to our Facebook page and get involved. The vote will close after the second map played, so therefore fourth round. You still have a little time left, but I would recommend getting in early, because the first 3 correct predictions will be rewarded, and sometimes the first 3 correct predictions happen at the very beginning of a vote, or sometimes in a third round. Depends on matchup and performance of the teams, of course.
Yep.
But getting in early is always a good thing to do. And also use the hashtag WGLEU over Twitter to see what other tankies are tweeting, or to tweet something yourself and making sure that I can see it. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, the hashtag WGLEU means that it pops straight up on our feeds so we can see what you guys are saying and how you're enjoying this show or whatever you sort of want to say. So we're going to be jumping into the game pretty much in just a second. Here's the picks for you. Double bat chat, double M46 pattern as well for Kazna crew.
Yeah, interesting. That's Tier 9 American hull down tank is coming out again. I mean, we've seen it a few times on this map, and we've seen it from Kazna crew before as well, used effectively. I mean, I do like playing it. It's definitely not a common pick in terms of a lot of teams. I think a lot of teams like to stick with those 6 tier 10s and 1 tier 8, with the RU251 being sported as the tier 8. But that beautiful little... I love these camos so much.
This is sick, actually.
Should definitely petition Wargaming to sell them. They're fantastic. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think starting off pretty normally, northern side, going to that right side.
Yep.
With those slow M46s, it's pretty clear that Kazna crew is not going to go for the middle exchange at the beginning. So they are just heading off for that western side.
And out of range as well, opting for the east. Using 2 110E5s in the middle of the map. And take note as well, I think it's quite interesting, Oliver, that those 110E5s aren't pushed any further than that train line. So were Kazna crew to go for some kind of cap attempt, those 110E5s wouldn't really be able to reset. They'd have to actually cross over that line first, and that might be a little bit risky, especially with the patterns. You've got the 62A there as well, the STBs and the bat chat actually watching any sort of egress across the middle of the map. So it's almost a feeling for me, at least, that Kazna crew can have a decent setup here if they want to go for the cap, especially with so much of out of range actually going for the hill. They've got 3 tanks up on that hill right now.
Yeah, they have. They are going to be sitting up there for pretty much the entire match, I think. And maybe that's RU251 will start to head around a little bit. And I mean, you know, Carmen's playing that 251. He's pretty much been the bottom of the damage board every single round I've seen him play on.
His artillery play has been exquisite.
Yeah, man, that 0 damage or 47 damage or whatever, it was 53, something like that. But I think it's pretty much the same age as he is, to be honest. Maybe. But I think, you know, he's got to be careful, because Out of Range is one of those few teams which actually picks more than 8 players. Like, they're always picking 9 players around that. Whereas I think you'll see Kazna crew have the same 7 in this entire match, unless one of them disconnects or something. And of course, you know, one of them being Stefan, ex-player from WUSA, joining in this season as part of the roster. And to be honest, I mean, he's been right at the top of that damage board with Nexus every single round.
You can't see it through the camo because Vetso has Idemo written on the side of his bat chat, but without the camo it says terrible. Don't know why he's put that up there. I'm pretty sure he knows exactly what it means. So
yeah, but I think in Old English, terrible means like you're badass.
Frightening. Yeah, that's the problem. But it's not in current English.
No.
Oh, Vedran, my friend. Oh dear. And then 46 pattern is now starting to make its way over towards that capture point here for Kazna crew, and we'll start it off. And to be fair, it's not exactly great setups here for out of range in terms of trying to get a reset there. Now the pattern, you can see, it's actually a fairly bulky tank. Quick one, of course, as that medium is. Still though, yeah, it's a big tank. Yeah, you can't really just sneak into that bush and hide it there. So what's the response going to be like now for out of range? Do they have to push across the train line with those E5s? I mean, is there any other way to reset without doing that?
No, I think they have to push them over. They have to try and get the exchanges, and that's basically in the beginning of this match. And this is such a normal tactic here from Kazna crew. I guess with the one difference is they got hyper hull down in that southern area, just basically being able to lock down the RU251, perhaps being a little bit scared of a flank from that. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the T110s or whatever, it looks like actually the 2 STBs and the bat chats will have to go in and take down Yizhny, and you know, Kezvan, Kormikelov, or just Kerov, will be just trying to put some pressure on at the same time to stop Kazna crew from being able to shoot down in that middle area.
Oh, I'd be mad if I was Kerov, actually, because his gun's been damaged, so a little bit of difficulty making those long-range shots, I'd say. Ketevan there on your screen, you saw him actually firing to the bottom left. He's looking for Hybrid, and he actually did manage to connect that one shot on towards him. Okay, so Isne now moves off the cap because Milos is already committed. So he was hoping for a reset. Instead, Isne is going to push off the cap entirely. And that 110E5 is at least has managed to get his way across here. Should he have kept capping and hoping someone else would help him with Milos, or is this fair enough just to move off and get a free shot?
No, I mean, you're not capping because you think you're going to cap. You're just capping because the other team will have to push forwards and try and to try and decap you. So the end game there for Yizny is to have the other team come forwards, and that's going to cause Ilian as well. But I mean, of course, nice little play for out of range. They have 2 angles onto him. They got the T110, and they've also got the I7. No, the I7. Yeah, it's the other T110 on the other side in the middle. So Yizny has to be careful from multiple angles. But yeah, I think the interesting move is that Kazna crew have started to make their way to the southern area, the T62A. That strong Tartar armor will be joining Hyber as well in the middle. And first shell does go towards Karov.
Hyber's in a great spot here to obviously fire through these tracks. Brilliant hull down, of course. Gun depression, more importantly, of course, from those American higher tier tanks, and the pattern is no exception to that particular rule. There are some American tanks with pretty bad depressions, but they're normally tank destroyers and the like. So generally, it's a general feature of them to be able to aim that gun down quite low. And you can see that Hyber now demonstrating that for us. So he can quite easily get up there and have some shots through the train line. No cap being underway here. We are down to 4 minutes and 15 seconds. And Yizny is actually, well, he's not trying to do that one anymore as well. Like you said, not capping because he thinks he could cap, but capping because, well, it's a great way to pull out of range towards him. But what's the plan now from Kazna crew? In fact, I mean, I'm going to have my own question answered here because there's an STB-1 and the T62 have Ilian actually working up in the south here as well. So Kazna crew are hoping to trade, like we've seen them do really well on this map in the past. Even after, I think last time we saw them play, they were getting wrecked to start with and they managed to bring things back. I mean, do they just go for these peaks and just try and win things out? Because of course that 110E5 of Milosh is still a problem for the cap.
I mean, they are going for the peaks. It's just typical Prokhorovka, making as much damage as you can, getting yourself ahead in terms of advantage, getting some good positions. They have actually got Nexus in the I7 pretty much scot-free across in towards the middle. Big. And that IS-7 is just going to be impossible to kill unless out of range decide to push and take it down. But, you know, out of range, they've dwindled about 2k HP, a little bit more. And they might just start losing more with Nexus. But that Karov guy is precariously low, and I would put Nexus with HE ammo just to take him down.
Well, he's on reload now, and Yizny slowly sort of losing out a little bit in that battle. Karov does finally fall, and that was to Ilian though, so Nexus freed up to take a shot of his own, which he does actually towards Desik, who took some damage there. Milosh as well has 2 tanks to deal with now, and honestly, in all reality, Vetso just pushes. Take 1 hit. Who cares? You're going to be able to finish off Milosh. Oh, well, maybe if Yizny hit him there before he could fire again. Vetso circling around the back. It's a decent turret rotation there for the 110E5, but still, Milosh won't get that shot, or at least he won't connect it, and now Stefan free to roll over the top. And in the space of a few seconds, out of range, have lost about 3k health.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be super brutal right now for out of range, and you can see Formula 1 wanted to push in. I'm a little bit surprised that they didn't just push in when Vetso went forwards. They might have been able to find him if they got the track. And Formula 1's actually on reload, so Yizny will be able to pick him up.
Formula 1 could have killed Yizny and taken Vetso really low if he'd hit all of those shots. But out of range, just fluffing their lines here and actually just missing a few very important shots. And Kazna crew take away what seemed to be a fairly stately round to sort of business as usual, set up here, play the nice standard Prokhorovka that we can sort of exploit to our own ends. On the attacking side there, quite a convincing win and really out of range, forced to play reactive, and then really the opportunity to change the game in their favour was taken away from them there by having their tanks so split up, and Kazna crew just seemed to have them for breakfast after that. Yeah,
I mean, this is for me the interesting thing. Prokhorovka seems to be turning in the steps of 754, where on steps we saw that northern push all the time, going in the cap, forcing the other team to come forward, and then working it from there. And that's exactly what's happening in Prokhorovka. The team which is attacking is going towards that northern cap, getting control over it, putting some pressure on, and then the other team comes forwards with a T110 or an IS-7, tries to get the decaps. You see some shots down south, you see some exchanges. Depending on how that goes, you either get the HP advantage or you get the disadvantage.
Yep.
Push your tanks across the middle, engage in the middle so your tanks in the north don't receive too much damage, and then you can see at that point Vetso pushes in. Milos goes down. I think Stefan there in the background, who did 2.7k with 2 kills this round, also helps all of his team out.
Pretty convincing there, I think, in general. You can see where the balance of power starts to shift. The fact that LD Nexus got across the freaking map in an IS-7 and taking no damage whatsoever says a heck of a lot. It's such a powerful tank, and if you put it in any sort of semi-advantageous position, he's just going to be wrecking people's faces. I mean, the whole point is to punish them. I mean, in fact, last time we saw Kazna play on this map, I remember this quite well, is that Hyber actually was in the IS-7, and he pushed across the map. Now, he got smashed as he tried to get up close, but it looks like that out of range weren't able to really punish any of Kazna moments of vulnerability, like all strategies tend to have.
No, I mean, Kazna had good control over the middle, actually, before even Nexus pushed forwards, and there wasn't really any pressure there. I guess it's because, well, it was because Hyber and Elian in the T62A and the T46 and the M46, sorry, were making good shots in towards that village. They took Karov down, who would have been that guy shooting at Hyber or Nexus and taking down low in the IS-7. But that didn't happen because he fell before. So as soon as he fell, it was an easy move there for Kazna to push across. So yeah, a pretty convincing first round.
Hull down tanks or tanks with good gun depression are an absolute must-have on Prokhorovka. Even in random battles, actually, you can make really good use of the terrain, the undulations, of course, as you see a lot of little hills and stuff like that, where those tanks, I mean, Sand River in the same way, I guess, if you guys play that one, which actually makes me want to uninstall my game sometimes.
It's in WGLEU now, so you might want to go over there and play it.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say anything.
It's one of the maps.
I'm not going to say anything. Yeah, a bit of a different format for them, actually.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens to come to finals time as well, when obviously those two formats come clashing together. So double pattern again for Kazna here, from what I can see. Seems like a really good all-round tank, Oliver. I enjoyed seeing it employed in that last round.
Yeah, it's a good all-rounder. I enjoy it as well. I think it's probably one of those tanks you don't see a lot of people playing as well. I mean, like the Batchat, the STBs, T-54s, etc., all played a lot in the other various game modes in World of Tanks. And well, the M46 isn't, so maybe you guys should pick that one up in your garage if it's gathering dust, or just right-click and make it your favorite tank. So I have to see if you guys do that. I need to research again. I played it quite a bit and enjoyed it. Don't know why I play it anymore. I don't know why I don't play it anymore.
Well, the M48 pattern is the tier 10 version of that one, isn't
exactly,
it?
Exactly, yeah.
Which we don't really see much of it all here.
I think we've seen it a couple of times, once or twice. I saw it in WGLEU as well. But obviously they have that rule where you can only have 2 of every tank. You can't have like
stacks of
tanks.
Yeah.
So that would be a reason.
Which is different here, of course, in Europe, where teams can take as many of a certain tank as they like. And we do often see lots of STB stacks, or, I mean, we saw 3 Waffenträger E100s at one point as well, which is quite fun on Himmelsdorf. Didn't work out, but it was fun. So Kazna now, of course, they're on the red side still. Now, they're defending here, so they've actually still assumed the same position. And that's the interesting thing about Prokhorovka, is that you can do that. You can set up in almost an identical fashion on attack and defense if you are quick enough or, consistent enough in your push. And even out of range as well, actually, coming in from the south, we're more than happy to take this western side of the map. I don't know. I think this is going to turn into another hull down fest over the middle of the map. You can see the LD Nexus, Oliver. He's already pushed over into the middle, so he's already managed to get himself in that nice little position there. Yeah,
it's going to be about dragging out of range between Elian and LD Nexus, and that definitely has to be stopped here. You can see Dezek, who's been spotted, is going to be trying to put some pressure onto Elian. He will have to reverse back, otherwise that Object 140 will be able to good damage. Interesting little boost here from Carmen, though. He's been pushed up into a bush in the AMX 1390, so he's going to be able to spot basically everyone from Kazakh who decides to go a little bit down south. He's also using Camonet and also coated optics, so he's basically going to be invisible unless you get within 50 meters. So there, that's going to play a good role if out of range can stay in the fight that long.
A pure spotting role there for Carmen. I might be able to turn that into a wide flank later on in the game if the need does arise. Now, early trades here, fairly back and forth. I mean, Kazna have yet to really start to stamp their dominance in this kind of firefight. You can see Stefan there as well, the karate kid extraordinaire, putting that shot in towards Milos. And, I mean, that's the problem. The IS-7 actually has his rear to the middle of the map. There's no real good spot, I feel, to have an IS-7 on that side of the map. Stefan, though, does take a few hits from the south, and it was another STB there looking at him. He has to be careful.
Well, he's getting spotted by Carmen. Like, normally the STB will to peek and go unspotted.
Yep. Very good point. That's a great spot for Carmen. And like you said, Camonet's just going to make it. That's a great spot. He's just sitting up there on the hill, happy as Larry.
Yeah. It doesn't take you long to get on that to eastern side as the defender, but that allows you to get the boost up. So great stuff there from out of range.
So I like that. That's what I'm talking about, Carmen's strategy. He has it in spades, and it seems to definitely be helping in a big way here for out of range. It's Kazna Crew again. The trade's coming through, and they're just keeping their noses out in front. 2 quick kills as well for Kazna Crew. Definitely going to help things out a little bit, but out of range still have the guns to be firing back with. Stefan gets a finish on towards Milos, who honestly was dead as soon as things started. I mean, his position was just across from Eurofish. I mean, being shot from the rear as well is just as good as the armor in the IS-7 is. You can still bounce some shots from the rear, interestingly enough, but it's not a great spot to be in. So Isne there can roll over. Ooh, bounces that shot actually coming off the hill. That was a Leopard there. And I like that. I like seeing Leopards go up a hill. It makes a lot more sense than trying to stack them like we saw on Tuesday.
It's pretty funny, actually. I mean, Carmen was spotted ages ago, and yet Eurofish nor Stefan actually aimed towards him and tried to do anything against him. He's just been spotted and be able to maybe find Stefan.
Surely not. Surely not. Carmen, please. No, missed the shot. Aha, that's the AMX 3090 he's gone for you, guy. It's a little bit inconsistent, but a great position from him, unfortunately.
Mistake from Yizny?
Yep. And Vetso might be caught here as well. Kerolf is going to go down. Vetso just, I mean, look, one of the most talented players, I think, up there with the Alien on Kazna Crew. Really, skill-wise, he's just an absolute
Experienced.
beast. Yeah.
He's got the experience right behind him. I think, you know, that adds so much more in World of Tanks, where you've seen some of the best players in the game go 1 versus 1 and lose, not because they're the worst player, but because they don't have that experience under pressure. And Vetso will be able to find him, and despite Carmen's great positioning, Kazna Crew is going to put the second round in a row on the board. So
on that note, I mean, Carmen had a great spot there as well. You said the idea was to be able to spot out those STBs. Of course, to fire from Carmen's position would be to give up the bonuses that the camo net gives you, because you obviously need to sit tight and not fire. Was there a lack of backup to sort of capitalise on Carmen's spotting there? Because Kazna Crew seemed to, like they usually do, just say, well, play the trade game and trade generally really quite efficiently. I mean, was that really the case here? Kazna just a little bit too good on the back and forth, really? I mean, I don't really love those IS-7s in the positions that they were in either for out of range.
No, not particularly great. But I think the biggest point there was the fact that Carmen was spotting, but the exchanges didn't go well. So I think, you know, with Carmen, that MX 3090 would have been great if you could just dive off that hill and get 1 or 2 kills onto an STB, and that didn't happen. He had to make, I think he had hit 5 out of 6 shells. And then right at the end, when finally Kazna Crew realized that he was actually on that mound and he was spotted, before that they just didn't have any clue. They obviously, you know, a bit of tunnel vision from Kazna. And he just couldn't quite get the kill because Kazna got themselves sorted. The STBs started playing well together, blocking each other, blocking the one which was a one-shot. And yeah, he managed to get taken down within 4 volleys.
So it's a difficult position to play from as well for Carmen, because you see so many opportunities, golden opportunities, where you could take shots and do damage. And I mean, the AMX 3090, I think it's almost like a 1,400 damage that you can get down with 1 clip there, so decent. Maybe not enough to...
He did 908, so he missed 2.
Not bad. Yeah, well, yeah, he missed that crucial kill on the Stefan, unfortunately.
He waited too long for 1 shot and bounced 1 shot, I believe.
So that's probably a better example, I guess, of how to play from that western side in Prokhorovka. But I'd love to see the stats from that. Who sort of wins out statistically more when playing from that particular side? Because I feel like that eastern side, providing that you can get an IS-7 across towards that middle of the map, seems to always fare better in those situations.
Yeah, I mean, that was that 2 rounds in a row now. Kazna's played that same exact side, despite being on the attack or defense. They've won both those rounds. So yeah, I mean, I think out of range in general have got a lot of work to do on Prokhorovka. I don't think they quite have it down yet. Obviously, Kazna have been playing it for a lot longer in the WGL.
A lot longer.
Exactly. It's in Season 1. So let's be honest, they're a little bit more experienced, regardless of the format. Now, Mines, we've seen a lot more promising rounds here from out of range. They've been really good going aggressive despite being attack or defense. So I'm hoping for, you know, a little bit of a comeback on this map.
Kazna Crew losing on Mines? Do you think so?
Well, to be fair, they actually lost their spot in Season 1 because of Mines. They played it, I think they played it like 5 times or something in a row. Yeah. Picking up every single time instead of going for another map, and then using the same tactic which worked like 3 or 4 out of 5 times. And then that last one, which counted for everything, they lost it on. So.
Yeah, that artillery battle was intense. So, yeah. I mean, Kazna Crew are that team that do like to go for an artillery on that map as well. Sometimes we see Eurofish go for an M40, M43 or something similar. It'll probably depend. I think maybe only if they're on the attacking side will they go for that one here. Defensive artillery, which is not uncommon. We saw this from Insane actually yesterday for Oops, I think it was.
Yes.
Sorry, Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Don't even get me started on my week. All right, it's been a blur. But of course, he was actually up towards the south side in the back corner, and he wasn't really able to do much, actually. It doesn't seem like there's many good places to fire from in the south as opposed to the north, where you can perch up on a hill behind a bush and have the time of your life.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely harder from behind those buildings in some respects because, I mean, you've got to commit, and, you know, the hill is going the wrong direction, right? When you're trying to shoot, it's going like that way and you're here, whereas you're there, it's going like in a semicircle, so you're kind of sorted in that respect. But then again, I mean, if you just pick a good artillery piece, you're going to have basically that capping tactic towards the western side, the 2 cap, completely locked down. You're not going to be able to go for that one. So, and if you're pushing the hill, I mean, and you have a good enough reload with the artillery piece, you're going to be able to find that first shot, track, double track, perma-track, and take it down. So, yeah, it's options as well. But looking quickly through this, there's no artillery pieces here through the lineup, so you'll get to see it in a second. But some interesting picks regardless.
All right, so just we're getting these picks sorted up, of course, here as well. I think a bit of confusion because the players logged a IS-8 as a pick, and obviously it's a T10 in game. So the admin was like, "Oh, what is this tank? It's the wrong tank." But obviously, yeah, that one might be used here. I don't know. Maybe they changed it. Some confusion. Don't know. Here's your picks anyway. So 50 Bs for Kazna crew, double 140, double T54, and yeah, it's out of range here that are going to be taking the M40, M43. Or not, actually. No, that's not correct.
There's no artillery.
No artillery here, guys. Tank pick graphics still working out some kinks. What we're seeing here, yeah, the T10 for Carmen. So IS-8 being picked up for him. So going for a bit more of a beefier lineup here as well. Bringing the Object 430 Mark II and Kazna as well, not going for any artillery.
Yeah, double T54, double Object 140, double 50B, and a Batchat play by Eurofish as normal. And pretty much the same from the side of out of range, just with that tier 10 heavy and the Object 430, as you said. So looks like Kazna crew at the beginning in their third round, 2-0 up at this point after Prokhorovka, obviously out of range, wanting to be getting themselves back in this game, and they're on the side they have done it plenty of times before on.
All right, Eurofish now going to challenge that hill. Actually, Formula 1 and Kerov are there, but Formula 1 coming off second best, and all he can manage to do is try and ram Eurofish because these Batchats aren't loaded yet. They'll be loaded in a couple seconds, but already Formula 1 going down. He never had a chance to fire a shot. Kerov, at least, though, will be able to fire from now, but already losing that one tank so early, out of range, already behind the 8-ball.
And absolutely getting chunked down because of that fire. Great stuff onto the back of that Batchat, and this is Kazna crew, just absolute destruction right now. Pushing on, keeping the aggression, and Carmen next is going to go down.
You don't get away with trying to go at Kazna head-to-head. And you should know better than to push the hill when you know the Kazna are a team that will happily come forward and go for the trades. They're just so damn good at it. Piotr now just inches from death. Milosh as well is quite low, and Senti has had to get involved. Probably didn't really want to at this early stage of the game. But Vetso in the 50B, he's about to have some shells to pump straight in towards that 430 Mark II. And Kazna crew, look at this. They're all over it like moss on a rock, not even losing one tank. And Milosh now will fall.
Yeah, game over. Kazna crew, one of the quickest round this season. I think that was 1 minute and 20 seconds, that round. I think that's the fastest round this season, 1 minute and 20.
Wrecked.
I mean, just not terrible. Let's just have wrecked on the back. But I mean, let's be honest here. Kazna crew, I mean, starting from the north, the attacking side, they get on the hill quicker in mines. It's common knowledge at this point. Put the Batchat on the hills. You get it there sooner, you get in the better position sooner. Yep. Just stops on the hill. The two Batchats of out of range just drive straight in the back. You got two Batchats with the side to the whole of Kazna crew. They get completely wrecked, and then Kazna crew have their two Batchats on the hill, take care of Kerov. That's 2 tier 10s down for nothing, and yeah, game over.
Here's the thing. The Batchat reload time, I don't know actually what their crew skills, what it ends up amounting to be, but
about
it's quite high.
35 seconds.
35 seconds. So I think it's like 42 or something, or even a little bit higher than that, of course, without a good crew and all that sort of stuff. You aren't loaded by the time you get to that hill in the first place.
You've got like 3 or 4 seconds to reload. And
the problem is that like for I think Eurofish in the Batchat, I think it was him pushing the hill. He doesn't really care. He's like, well, I'm not going to be loaded here. I'm just going to get up fast. If I take a little bit of damage, I can accept 1,000 or so because I have the hill. But the problem is that out of range push 2 Batchats up there when they know that the north side gets to the hill quicker. So they should know that there will be shots coming in towards them. Now they can't fire back. And beautiful stuff from Eurofish because he blocked them. He actually got in the way there as well. I mean, it might look like they rammed, but Eurofish stopped them from getting up the slope. He sat there, and those 2 Batchats just went clunk and just like stacked up on it. It was like a traffic jam. And then Kazna said, all right, boys, duck season, I guess, is on. And they just nailed them. Just a bit awkward stuff from out of range there as well. I mean, it was just no recovering from that first passage of play. And Kazna crew as well.
Did Kazna also get a 50B up there? I think they did, right?
Not in the first place.
No, but just a few seconds after that, because I think there was an bat chat and a 50B taking on Karov there in the other bat chat. Because I mean, if you're sitting there and you're out of range, you're like, okay, so we got the faster tanks, we got the 2 bat chats, we can put them on the hill. They'll be the only autoloads that can get on the hill quickly until we get the Czechoslovakian tanks coming in at 9.13. So we can get the overmatch on the hill, right? And that would have worked out perfectly unless Eurofish did what he did, which was to get that block. Otherwise, those 2 bat chats would have only had to wait a couple of seconds, 2 versus 1. They would have been able to kill Eurofish very, very quickly. So
yeah, and it would have been a bit safer as well. They wouldn't have had to take all that damage coming from the rest of Kazna because it was a lighter lineup. It was a faster lineup, I guess, for Kazna crew. They had a couple 50Bs in there as well, but they wouldn't have been able to put so much damage on towards those guys. So very, very clever from Eurofish there. Even when he couldn't fire, he was still pretty much the hero in that mix. So this is correct, by the way. So Kazna coming out with, again, no artillery and an M40, M43 going to be used this time for real for out of range. And they are, of course, spawning in the north. So makes a bit more sense. Definitely can do a little bit more work from there. It's 3-0. Out of range is struggling here as well. And Kazna are just continuing their dominant run. Will it go to 4-0 and match point? Only one way to find out.
I wouldn't be surprised if out of range just put a round on the board here, just because I think I would be pretty angry and I'll be playing with a little bit of passion, playing my heart out here. But it looks like out of range got on the hill with the double bat chats. No damage actually come from Kazna crew with a pretty aggressive medium push.
Oh my.
They got the double 50 E50, so it does kind of make sense. And actually the 3 medias get on the hill with pretty much no damage done.
These Batchats have to get off the hill. They can't stand a fight. There's no way that they could possibly stay here. Senti went solo as well on his Object 140, and Kazna crew again just so good at doing damage. Please, this is ridiculous. Senti's a one-shot. Milosh went quite low. It was a good response actually from out of range to be able to deal with Vetso, but so many damage has already gone across the board. It was because, of course, those 50Bs were in position to lay that burst down, have already crippled out of range, but you might see the health swing a little bit back now while they're on reload. But Stefan's almost off that one already, so they'll be ready to fight again. Losing Vetso was a pain, but out of range did, in all fairness, focus down the correct tank that they could find. Carmen, no man's land here, pushing around the corner for God knows what reason. He will drop to Nexus, and then, well, there we go, out of range, huddling together, and they're just going to get smashed.
Yeah, and there's not even any Object 140 around the back. I mean, if Elian and Eurofish decide to just buddy up and go around to take down Kanti, I think it would be even faster game over, but Karov is the target right now.
Karov is going to get pretty well smashed there as well. Hyber going for the ram. E50s are so damn good at that, and Eurofish is going to get the drive-by on towards Senti. Piotr now and Dezik, last 2 standing, and Piotr is 2-shot here for Eurofish as he does round the corner. Misses that first shot. Piotr at least makes his one count, and there it is. Elian gets the finish, and they know exactly where to find Dezik. It's not rocket science, especially on a map like this one. Dezik hoping for a direct fire shot, does at least get on towards Nexus with that one, cheeky bugger, but he will go down.
Yeah, he's gonna fall here to Stefan, actually in the AMX50B, and yeah, the 4th round and the 4th pretty solid round here from Kazna crew, just destroying out of range. I mean, I feel a little bit sorry for Carmen and his crew, because this is just this is unfortunate. This
will be the second stomping they've had in 2 match days as well.
Yeah.
So much for getting a quick round in there, mate. The old comeback round. But this is interesting as well. Is this confidence for you?
I had hope. I mean, to be honest, there was no damage from the 140s onto the 140s, and Vetso went down. I was like, hey, they've got a chance here, but the pressure just stops completely. And those 2 bat jets coming off the hill, like, why? I mean, you just keep the bat jets on the hill, you focus down a 140, and you put the pressure on with the T110s behind that rock, and you just make sure you have your artillery and call me Piotr, keeping pressure on Vetso and Stefan, the 50Bs.
Yep.
Like, the bat shots are great in those situations. They can pretty much get a 2-on-2 situation straight away, and then they can push up the hill if they have to. Like, they don't have to run straight away.
It's funny because the first thing I said was they should probably push off the hill. So that's my mindset coming into it of being a little bit scared. But maybe you're right. Maybe they should have just held on and seen what they could make of that hill. At least maybe Elian might have fallen or something. Get some bang for their buck, I guess. Eurofish had a massive game, by the way. 3.5k damage for him there, which is a big deal.
Pretty insane.
4-0 already. I mean, and like Melly obviously pointed out at the start of the match as well, it was like a 97% vote for Kazna crew. I mean, yeah, and you're exactly right, of course. I mean, could that have changed? I mean, the viewers have only seen losing rounds for out of range here. I wonder if there's been any shift in the voting.
Nope. Nope.
Still exactly the same?
Yes.
Still done.
Yes.
It's funny because these rounds have been so fast. We're still on round 2
Yeah.
on the stream because obviously we got that delay.
Yeah, of course.
So
Really
no, we're
crazy.
round 4 actually.
How long took it until now? Like 10 minutes?
Well, we started this match at
Wait, I can
about
check. I tweeted.
22. So we've been going
Yeah,
about
12
half an
minutes.
hour, let's say 40
What?
minutes. It's been pretty quick. But we're on to
We're
Ghost
heading
Town
into
now.
the first
Kazna
map.
hasn't been
It's
too great on it.
18 minutes. 18 minutes.
Really?
Yes, that's when I tweeted we're heading to the first map.
That's really
Okay,
quick.
fair
Considering our
enough.
time limit is not 10 minutes per map, that's pretty fast. Anyway, like you said, Oliver, moving on to Ghost Town now. And what are your thoughts here? Because Kazna Crew, of course, haven't exactly been the most apt at this map, but still, we did see them play it, I believe, in their last outing, and it was all right.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. I mean, they're doing okay, but we've so far seen Kazna Crew being a lot better on like your Prokhorovkas, Cliffs, Mines, the maps you would expect them to be good at. But they've had actually some good rounds on Himmelsdorf as well, to be fair. But Ghost Town has been a little bit iffy. I say this is probably their weakest map. They've also been good on Ruinberg. So this is the chance out of range has. The Polish teams have been typically pretty good on Ghost Town. But still, they're on match point, so technically they only need to, for instance,
Flag around
before they
here
did
or
against
there.
Strongsiema, just push straight across and obliterate them.
We do, actually, I do remember talking about this. We saw Vetso use as the loose end play here for Kazna Crew on Ghost Town. If you guys are familiar with that one, obviously with the big city sort of in the middle and a bit of freedom around the outside for those like faster mediums or lights to go. Vetso seems to be pretty comfortable playing that role as well, creating opportunities for his team or turning some heads or turrets in his direction. I think Kazna Crew's last outing on the Ghost Town was okay, if I remember. Yeah, definitely, like you said, city maps. I mean, Himmelsdorf used to be their kryptonite. Now it's actually not too bad. I think they've shored up some of their weaknesses there. But it was actually, Kazna Crew lost both rounds against KB last time they played it, which was in last week on Tuesday. So, yeah, definitely not their best map, no doubt about it.
No, I think they're struggling this one, but KB had a questionable performance on Ghost Town. We'll say that they won one round, and I think they lost both rounds actually. So it's a very dynamic map. It depends on how you play it. No, it's not dynamic. It's dynamic in terms of results. Like we don't really see one team plowing ahead on Ghost Town, even though it's been picked up quite a lot. It's not like last season when we had like Utopia being very strong on it.
Yep.
And I think it's just cut down to the tank picks as well. Like last season the IS3s with a good tactic in the north was basically impossible to win against. Now it's a little bit easier because you can get caught around those corners a lot more quickly. We see the tank picks being, a very important factor, like with the Waffentragers, Jagdpanzers, E100s, the big hitters being brought out a lot.
There's more possibilities now as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, let's be honest. If you're picking a Jagdpanzer, right? I mean, you've got 6 shells, 750 average damage. That's 4,250 damage you can pump out within like 7 seconds, 8 seconds. Like, if you can get 6 shells out, doesn't matter how good your tactic has been or how bad it's been, that's a tier. It's basically 2 tier 10 tanks you've taken down.
Yep.
And that's Ghost Town done. Like we were like, yeah, great team on Ghost Town. It's like,
It's just the first couple of kills that really could dictate the rest of the
Exactly.
game. I mean, but in this format, more so than in 754, losing one tank doesn't really make such a difference because the massive amount of damage that tanks can now deal relative to the average health of tanks. Of course, you see the big hitters coming in. But you're right. I mean, Ghost Town as well, it's very, very easy. If you make one slip up, you could be in deep trouble. Ural Fish is playing artillery this game, the M40, M43, and it's going to be Isne as well, the Swede for Kazna Crew on that E100.
Yeah, it's funny, Yisny. As soon as it starts getting colder in Sweden, Eurofish and Yisny, to be honest, they start getting better at World of Tanks. It's just
Spend more time inside.
Exactly.
I'm pretty
Just
sure,
train-
like, Eurofish from Finland, he can't even leave his house right now, I'd say.
If he leaves his house, like he's never coming back. We never see him. So yeah, I mean, as soon as that's happened, it's like that northern area in Game of Thrones. You're just not going to come back from it.
Yeah.
And I mean,
The North, it's called, surprisingly
It's
enough.
called the North, indeed. Which is basically just a personification of Scandinavia, I think, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, 4-0 now for Kazna Crew. I think this is their best chance with a change of scenery, change of tactics. Everything gets slowed down a little bit here on a city map. So out of range, I mean, they've got a mountain to climb, but they have to start here. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
I like it. I like it a lot, Ollie. So out of range now, going to be using Carmen as well to try and flex around as much as they possibly can. And you will note, because Kazna crew are bringing an artillery in here, they don't actually have that light tank to roam around the sides. And this is quite funny. They've got a 50B in H, or J1, should I say. Stefan right around the side. They're using that 50B just to... I don't really know what kind of line of sight, Oliver, that Stefan has in towards town from that position, but maybe he just wants to wreck Carmen.
Yeah, maybe. Just going to take down the old Carmi boy, but it's going to be hard.
This guy.
But, I mean, the thing is, let's be honest here, the 50B, it can one-clip an RU251, and it's just almost as fast as an RU251. Oh, nice little first shots.
Stefan on the flick. Flick of the wrist is all it takes, and Carmen is already crippled for... Oh, get out, Carmen! Get out! It's absolutely smashed there, and that's why you put the 50B in that position. Stefan gets every single one of those shots off, and he is...
I think someone helped him there, the one shot, I guess.
Yeah, there's another 50B close by, actually. No, Vetso's got a full clip, bro.
Yeah, I guess with 400 damage, you can theoretically do it.
Good rolls there, I guess, coming
roll
out for the man. Senti and Komakarov here as well, holding on the corner with those heavies, but, I mean, they are kind of going to be pushing into a choke. Karov now... going towards Nexus, takes a shot on the side, takes another shot in response. Dezek misses his shot towards Nexus, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe he hit Isne just around the corner and off camera. Again, out of range, losing trades. Kazna crew looking solid, decent positioning for them here as well. Nexus maybe in a slightly risky spot, but look at this rate of fire as well. He can put so much damage down, but maybe he'll back up a little bit here, or maybe give himself up. Maybe let Kazna push in from the top of your screen and do some damage here. Nexus has done well to bounce that shot, and frustratingly enough for out of range, they're really not connecting onto these key targets.
Seems like to me like Kazna crew could go forwards and win this game, but they are waiting for Eurofish to come off reload and maybe soften up one of these E100s and just keep their position safe.
Speaking of softening up the E100s there, Dezek does take a big hit, but Hyber actually takes about a comparable amount of damage in response. So this is what they were waiting for. Kazna were waiting for out of range to push towards Nexus and try and take him out. Who can I say has done a great job of staying alive so far. He backs around the corner, easily takes down Dezek. I think Dezek was trying to get towards him as well. And this is sloppy stuff here from the entirety of out of range now. Komakarov and Senti will be surrounded. Stefan now able to move out of position. I think he's used his clip there as well. Vetso went low, so something happened on that side of the map that we can't really tell. But Karov down, Senti's going to drop here as well. He's looking for Nexus, but he's going to walk around the corner and maybe demand that E100's attention.
Yeah, this is going to be a pretty one-sided affair. I mean, Vetso got taken pretty low by Formula 1, I think, there in the 50B. Formula 1 also only retrieved 2 or 3 shells. Stefan actually going to come off reload before Piotr.
Oh, Piotr. Oh, dear. Yeah, that's one way to track yourself. Stefan can still fire from there as well, and Piotr's going to get smashed. Formula 1 as well, unfortunately, there's really not much he can do as well. This is just poetry in motion from Kazna crew. I mean, it's brutal poetry, and it's obviously warlike, but that exists. It could be like that sort of beat poetry when someone's on the bongos just yelling out violent words every now and then.
It's like rap.
Fire.
I've seen that, like, around the campfire and stuff.
Dust in the bodies of the fallen.
I used to do that at school, you know. I took a African drumming class. That's what we used to do in a circle.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
and like, everyone just like says a word, how they're feeling today. Like.
I wasn't at school. I think there was like padded walls and everything there. So. Yeah.
14 damage Carmen on artillery. Oh dear.
What can I say, man?
GG, 5-0. Kazna crew coming out on top there. It's a very convincing win for them, even on a map. It's safe to say that is not their forte. Obviously, Ghost Town looking very, very good for them. And out of range, looking like they were out of options in probably most of those rounds. Very, very average from them as well. I mean, look, with all due respect, of course, to them, because they're going up against Kazna crew, who have looked so far to be the most solid team. They're not giving away these free rounds and giving nothing away for free. In that game as well, they still had 7 tanks alive. They were low, I think. I'll check the score in the end. Yeah, all their tanks were still up, and they did the same in Prokhorovka as well. Whether it's out of range, failing to focus fire correctly, which is a possibility, Kazna all have a really good awareness of their health totals and also the health totals of their allies nearby.
Yeah.
You know, like Isne, for example. Stefan was getting hammered. Isne comes around and says, all right, well, I don't want Stefan to die. I'm now going to demand the attention of Senti. But if you're Senti, you probably should try and kill Stefan. I guess. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it makes me feel like out of range, jitters coming in here as well.
They should just push down, killed Nexus and that FE215B, got him out of the game like we've seen a lot of times, and it's worked a few times on Ghost Town, and then they can start focusing on other things. you know, Eurofish will have that shot, will have the spot until they take down Nexus. And, you know, Eurofish didn't do a lot this game, 1.4k, but that's enough. It's good enough damage from him in a round like this. More than what Carmen did in his tier 8, and it was just total 0 damage.
Yeah.
So
Well,
you can see how that kind of comes in. I mean, Nexus, you said 3,600 damage. So, yeah, I mean, it's hard to really break that one down because all 5 rounds there were really one-sided for Cancer Crew. Let's be honest here. There was some interesting trades on Prokhorovka, but I mean, out of range, they need to get themselves sorted. And yeah, I mean, what is that? 12 points here for Kazna?
Yep. That's a strong start to the season.
12 points here for Kazna. I mean, okay, so in season 1, 6th place was 16 points. After 11 match days. We're 4 match days in for Cancer Crew, and they already have 12. They only need another 4, technically, to be in that 6th place position from Season 1. So we're like, what is that, 1 more win and 1 tiebreaker loss?
I mean, the thing is, the Kazna's back end of the season is quite rough. It's pretty intense. I mean, their next game is against Tornado Rocks. Then they play
and Elian's in WCA.
Yeah.
He's playing for HWC, High Voltage.
Oh, really?
I think so, yeah.
How did stealing all these players?
I heard it. I was at Continental Rumble and they said if Elian wanted to come, he could come and play for them.
Right. I wouldn't say no if I was him.
No.
So, I mean, even without Elian, of course, going ahead, I mean, Utopia after that one. No, they've already played them, sorry. It would be... Yeah, oops. But then, of course, they get Synergy. They've got to go up against Wombats and Tanks. So, I mean, they get all the hard teams towards the end here. But, hey, it's fine. If you want to be in that top 4, then, you know...
Well, they should win against Synergy. Tornado will be hard without Elian for sure.
Yep.
I mean, I guess that could be like a 4-4 situation without Elian. I think Kazna are playing better than Tornado this season, but we haven't seen them tested so far. But I think they should be able to get it within, like, they should get a top 3 right now. Easy. Like, top 2 if you consider Wombats.
Well, speaking of Tornado Rocks, they're going to be featuring in our upcoming match up against Ding. But before we do run away as well, Melly, of course, we were looking at the results as well, tried to find a little bit of a glimmer of hope there for out of range, but it definitely looks like Kazna were very, very strong. Even Oliver here was saying, I think, out of range might be able to pick up a round here just off the back of something, but Kazna just completely shut the door in their face.
Absolutely. There is no better way of putting this. And the reason for no live tweets, to be honest, were that I was sitting in front of my computer with my mouth open, not being able to tweet that fast how fast Kazna actually won those rounds. I was like, okay, I'm going to tweet, it's 4-0 already. Nice. But well, people, thank you for getting involved that much in this voting. It stopped on 96%. So
ooh,
it was
1 more
1% more for OR. Well, Carmen, I'm very sorry, that must hurt. But the next vote is already open and the next matchup is waiting for you guys. So get involved, facebook.com/WGLEU, your last chance for tonight to get one of those nice and tasty bonus codes. Also get involved via Twitter using the hashtag WGLEU. And if you want to rewatch this match, you can do so in a few days over at youtube.com/WGLEU. Maybe even tomorrow, am I right, Ollie?
Let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
youtube.com/WGLEU. So subscribe our YouTube channel to get all those VODs as soon as they pop online. You will get a notification and will miss no minute of rewatching this match, which took 25 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to lose too much of your day to watch it. Yeah, maybe a quick break. Maybe you got a load of washing on or something like that, or you could watch a few Kazna games in that time, and then bam, you're done. So perfect way to fill up your day, of course, if you do want to go back over some of those matches. But Tornado Rocks versus Ding coming up next. Ollie, quick word from you before the break on your thoughts on that matchup.
Match of the day.
Easy, I like it. Match of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back after the break. Tornado Rocks go up against Ding. Gonna be one, as Oliver said, not to be missed. We'll see you soon.